Going on, Rebel Family? Tonight's live stream, I want to take a look at the shows that influenced bad bitch culture. I entitled the stream tonight Boss Chicks and the Educated 304s. And I want to start off with I want to take a look at something written by, uh, what is her name? Patricia Hills Collins, a leading black feminist thought. Um, she's a leader in black feminist thought, right? And she wrote a book, actually, I think, called Black Feminist Thought. And I want to take something from that and get into what I'm seeing here, or what I've been seeing for a while. And people love to talk about the music, the music, excuse me, the music, but rarely does anyone ever talk about the shows or the movies or the TV shows that actually influence, the culture, what we're seeing with women, men as well, right? We'll talk about the music with the men and the rappers and so forth. We'll also, but we rarely talk about the shows that influence it, or the movies that influence it as well, right? So that's what I want to kind of get into with, what I want to get into tonight. So maybe a little bit of a ride here, so just bear with me, and we will get to the destination here. So let's start off with this. Okay, I apologize about that. Bit of a hiccup on my side here. All right, but let me see if I can share this screen here. All right, so this comes from the book by Patricia Hill Collins, and it's called Black Feminist Thought. And the section that I want to start with here is the section on. All right, let's see if I can zoom this in here. Mammies, matriarchs, and other controlling images. Right, says called matriarch, emasculator, and hot mama. Sometimes sister, pretty baby, auntie, mammy, and girl. Called unwed mother, welfare recipient, and inner city consumer. The Black American woman has had to admit that while nobody knew the troubles she saw, everybody, his brother and his dog, felt qualified to explain her, even to herself. Okay. All right, so that's where it gets started. So she's pulled out and looked at some tropes over the years that black women have been labeled with. You know, the matriarch, the mammy, the hot mama, these all are still around: the unwed mother, the welfare recipient, inner city consumer, so forth, right? All of these things, all of these are tropes that are still prevalent today. And as I go through um, some of the shows that have led to shape the culture today, we'll see that even though there are black women who are executive producers, showrunners, creators of these shows, that they still introduce these particular tropes. I also want to highlight this section here. Challenging the controlling images has long been a core theme in black feminist thought. Okay, so she's admitting that they have to they have to control these or challenge these images, and it is part of black feminist thought. But what seems to be hypocritical is that, you know, the black feminists of today love these shows that actually uh still show these images. And the last thing I want to point out here, and I was reading, I read about half of this section here, and every single thing that I got to, I was like trying to debunk it. I was like, okay, I'll turn this live stream into debunking this particular narrative, and I didn't want to do that, so I had to stop reading it. So I only pulled out a few things that that I saw here, that I wanted to use to point out. It says here, the controlling images are designed to make racism, sexism, poverty, and other forms of social injustice appear to be natural, normal, and inevitable parts of everyday life. That's the biggest part of this thing here. These controlling images are designed to make racism, sexism, poverty, and other forms of social injustice appear to be natural, normal, and inevitable parts of everyday life. And we see that with not just the images of black men and black women, but we also see that with regards to images of alternative lifestyles, to where you once these things become natural and normal, there's no aversion to it anymore. There's no pushback on it, because it's just life, right? It's just, this is what I choose to do, and this is what I choose to do, so it's okay, right? It's we should have no problem with it. All right. So I'm gonna jump off this, and I just show real quick who Patricia Hill Collins is. This is her, right? She looks pretty much looks like the 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 feminist, right? I mean, she has that look. She has that black feminist look, right? Okay, so but anyway, I think she's married though. I think I couldn't find any pictures of the dude or whoever it is. I'm not exactly sure who or who it may be, but anyway, so get started here. I want to get started, and I had to go back. I had to go back to the '90s for this one, and it is Living Single, and I like this show, Living Single, and I'm gonna just have some images come across the screen here as I talk about Living Single. Right? It is it is a show that depicted. It was mainly set on four women. Right? The main character was uh, Queen Latifah, seen right here. She played Khadijah James. She was the entrepreneur, the pretty much the leader of the group there, and this is the whole cast here of Living Single. So we have from um, left to right here. We have Kim Cole. She played Sinclair James. That was Khadijah's cousin, first cousin. In the hat next to her, brother John Hinton. He played Overton Wakefield Jones. And then, of course, Queen Latifah played Khadijah James. Then there was Kim Fields. She played Regine Hunter. Excuse me. And then there's the brother T.C. Carson. He played Kyle Barker. And then on the far right there with the natural look is uh, uh, Erica Alexander played. She was playing Maxine Shaw, right? So just real quick, now the tropes here for the '90s, they were a bit tame as compared to what some of the tropes that we'll see later on, right? But the four or five main tropes that I saw throughout all of these shows, and they are mixed and matched between the different characters of each different show, right? So as uh, Patricia Collins stated that, there's the mammy, the matriarch, and other controlling images, right? She stated the welfare recipient, which what we call now, or we started calling ghetto. That became synonymous with ghetto. Um, the what they call the Jezebel or the Sapphire, the strong black woman. These are some of the tropes that we see here. The diva, which is going to evolve. All of these tropes evolved at some point later on, right? So in this particular case, Khadija, Queen Latifah, she was the matriarch. She had pretty much everything together. Everyone else was kind of, she was the lead. She was the lead character. Everyone, everything revolved around her in a sense. She had everything together. Her career. She was, the owner of Flavor magazine, which was a hip hop magazine. She's an entrepreneur, but pretty much everyone came to her for her problems, right? Now, this trope for her cousin Sinclair, she's kind of the she didn't have anything really going on. Her cousin had to give her a job. She was trying to be an actress, so she was kind of the artsy type. And back then she was kind of dingy, right? She had the dingy role that she played, so she didn't really fit into any of the major tropes that we would see. But she was, you know, she just didn't have anything together. It was dingy, and like I said, she had to go live with her cousin. Cousin had to give her a job, so that small trope of the broke friend of the group is there, right? Regine Hunter, seen in the red, she was the diva, right? She was the one who she could sniff out a brother whether or not he was wearing a fake Rolex or whatever. So she knew money. So that diva aspect came with Regine. That's going to, like I said, that trope is going to evolve. By the time it gets to 2021, now that everyone is a diva, right? All the chicks are a diva, so that doesn't stand out. But back in the '90s, it was funny because you know people were just starting to make money, and women were really, LL Cool J had this song called "Around the Way Girl," right? Everybody kind of, the women wanted to be around the way girls. We just down to earth and so forth. Not being stuck up, because there were a lot of songs about women being stuck up and around the way girls. So being the diva, and that's where that term, I mean, not the term has been around before, but it really got popular in the '90s. And Regine was one of those characters. We saw that there were other characters during the time that also had that diva mindset or diva-tude or what have you. If you know the show, um, Fresh Prince of Bel Air, right? Uh, what is her name? Hillary Banks. She was a diva, right? She was about money. It's all about high fashion, so forth. So she also had that diva thing going. And then as well, with, if you know the show, um, the college show, A Different World, the spinoff show from the Cosby Show, Different World. Jasmine Guy, Whitney Whitley Gilbert or whatever her name was, right? She was the diva, right? She had that, she was about money and nice things or whatever, or overclass things, expensive, extravagant, right? And then you had Maxine Shaw, right? Maxine Shaw was a, oh, by the way, Regine was like a buyer at a boutique. She had one of those types of jobs or whatever. She was a buyer at a boutique that she, was the buyer for high class things and so forth, right? That was her, that was her thing. And, and, so then Maxine Shaw, she was like a lawyer, right? Now here's where the tropes really, really, really come out, and it's going to remain the same throughout all these shows, right? Okay, so pretty much you have three lighter skinned women and then a darker skinned woman, right? The darker skinned woman always has to be the sapphire, the one who has the quick wit, the brash. As a matter of fact, in I think it was on IMDb, they described her character as brash, quick witted, kind of smart mouth or whatever. So she had that type of thing. And though she wasn't a flat out 304, it was beginning, right? Because she would get into relationships, or she had more of the masculine energy, meaning she carried around a little black book. Matter of fact, there was an episode to where the brother standing next to her in the suit, Kyle Barker, they had this love hate relationship to where they kind of hated each other, but they wind up hooking up, and then they were kind of in a relationship for a quick second or whatever it was, right? And then they kind of compared black books. What they called a little black book back in the days is you had a black book that you wrote down all the people that you had sex with, right? So when they looked at their black books and they compared numbers of people they had sex with, she she had more than him. And and so he was kind of crushed by it, and she was kind of like, hey, it is what it is. So she had that more so masculine frame. And then it turned out, she counted him in her black book, and he didn't count her in the black book because he cared about her, right? The show was on for 5 seasons from 93 to 98, and they put two brothers in it. One, a blue collar brother, which was Overton, the brother with the hat. He was like the superintendent of the building that they lived in. And Kyle Barker, he was a white collar brother. He was like a ad executive at an ad agency or so forth, or whatever, right? So we have like I said here, we have uh one of the big differences about this show was they didn't have to run around and tote that it was, they didn't have to put it in your face that it was a like a pro black show, or the people on it were pro black. I mean, you rarely saw a white character on the show, and from my recollection, I don't remember any of them ever being in a relationship with anyone white. I mean, that goes for the men and the women. I could be wrong about that, but when you have someone like Queen Latifah, who was known for being a a black centered hip hop artist at the time, she was very a conscious rapper, if you will, at the time in the '90s. So her leading it with the name Queen Latifah, and in the show, she would wear a lot of things with the Pan African, back to Africa, so forth, on her sweatshirts and so forth that she would wear, right? Um, so so the uh, Maxine would go. She's going to be um, she would fit more so in the Jezebel, and these are some pictures of Kim Fields and her husband there. Um, but Maxine Shaw, she was more of she was going to be more of the Jezebel stereotype mixed with the sapphire. And this one here shows Regine started that whole wig thing, right? Regine was she ushered in the whole wig phenomena, right? That it it kind of started with her and that whole wig thing, right? It was her and the wigs, because it wasn't really popular for women to have weave. You know, back then in the days, women got clowned when they showed up with weave on, because it was so obvious, right? And she was on the whole wig thing long before, so it kind of pushed that narrative there. And this is her and her first husband, I think it is, Kim Fields, but she played that part pretty good. So here's the crew a little bit later. I think that's one of the brothers. I can't remember the brother's name there, but I want to get to something else. See, Regine had the whole diva thing going. That was her persona, right? She wasn't. She didn't. They didn't have a lot of sex. And let me say this also, that for back in the days, Queen Latifah. Yeah, I might just say it, we considered her fat, right? Back in the days. I know people will look at her now and be like, they don't think she was back then, but for the 90s, she was considered overweight, right? And this show it started pushing that, okay, it doesn't matter how much you weigh or whatever it is, you can always find a man, because Khadija always had a man. She always had dudes fighting over her or whatever it was, right? Um, Matter of fact, most of them on here, Maxine, Maxine was considered the fine one. It's kind of like with Martin. I don't know where women get this thing, and they're projecting on dudes, because any dude, you ask any dude that grew up in the 90s, if you ask them who was finer out of Gina and Pam, they'd instantly tell you Pam. But for some reason, in 2020 or 2021 or whatever, people projected and say, "Oh, you guys think Gina was the fine." We were like, "No, whoever said that?" I mean, even though Martin used to clown Pam all the time or whatever, but you know, back then, Kim Fields also, she was a bit funny shaped. What's the name, was a little bit overweight, but the one that people would think that, okay, brothers don't like, she had the natural hair, she had the locks going. She was the thinnest one on the cast. And matter of fact, back in the days, I know it don't look like it based on how big women are today. Max was considered thick back then, and the rest of them were considered. Like I said, what's the name was overweight. What's the name had a funny shape, and then Kim Coles, who played Sinclair, she she was always heavy. She was made to get thin for In Living Color, and then she started getting heavy again in this series, right? So it's how prophetic is this, though, that the one that was most natural on the show, Maxine or Erica Alexander, and she actually wind up marrying a white dude. And Kim Fields was married to a white dude at some point. Now she's married to a brother. And uh, you know, Queen Latifah, she came out as homosexual or lesbian or whatever, right? And I think she had a baby with her, with one of them, whatever. And this is the scene I was talking about here. That no matter how big you were, whatever it was this thing of she always had dudes fighting over, right? Dudes that you know most women at the time thought were good looking or whatever. That these guys were the catch. Um, so anyway, so John Hinton Overton, and those characters were, and they did a smart thing to pull brothers in, because you could relate to either Kyle, or you could relate to Overton. Kyle was the white collar brother who was the playboy. This is Kim Fields and her current husband. And then you could, or brothers could relate to Overton, the blue collar brother, who was, like I said again, the superintendent of the building. So you could relate to either one of those brothers, so it pulled brothers into the show to watch the show. And then you didn't have these it wasn't overly aggressive at the time. I guess if it would have been, it would have been outright rejected, I would imagine. But you did have the feminist thing going on, in terms of women rock the world kind of thing, from Khadijah's standpoint. And yeah, these two wind up hooking up, even though she was kind of dingy on the show. He was a little bit off, so they just worked and it just clicked or whatever. And um, so the tropes were there. So we have the mammy in excuse me, not the mammy, the matriarch in Khadijah. She was like the leader. Anybody had problems, they could always go to Khadijah, right? We had the diva, which was Regine. We had the Sapphire slash Jezebel in Maxine because she was a smart mouth, and she was about handling her business and what and so forth. And then really, like I said, Sinclair, she doesn't fit into any of those tropes. She was a little bit dingy. She, wasn't materialistic or anything like that. So it's hard to figure out where she fit in it. And this is Erica Alexander and her husband. I was like, yo, what the what's going on here with this dude? But that's her husband, man. That's nuts, you know. But anyway, but it was a good show. Lasted for 5 years. Like I said, it was more down to earth, and I know they love to talk about how they wanted to call the show Friends, but they were told it was dumb. Next thing they know, a white show was called Friends, and it lasted. So they were kind of the black Friends, if you will, the alternative, and I couldn't stand that show or what have you. This is Kim Coles and her second husband. She had been married twice, right? uh, they're divorced now and she's not married, but yeah. So anyway, so those are the tropes. Those tropes are going to remain, and we'll watch. And it's so funny that the black feminists of today love to call everything colorist and colorism, but they don't see it in the shows that they love to watch, and this show was one of them, right? Why is the why is it that the dark skinned woman, the darker skinned woman, I would say, on the show, the darkest skinned woman on the show was the smart mouth and slash the Jezebel, right? All right, so let's keep going. Next show was Girlfriends, right? All right, so the next show is Girlfriends here, and Girlfriends was a show from, what is it? It ran for 8 seasons, I think it was, from 2000 to 2007 or something to that effect. Uh, yeah, so it ran from 2000, and I think it took a hiatus because there was like a writer's strike or whatever, and then it took a break, and then it came back on a different network. So it ran for like 6 or 7 years on one network, and then it ran for another couple of years on a different network, right? It was surrounding Tracy Ellis Ross, which is what, second from the right, whatever at the end, and but I'll go from what do you call this, left to right? Yeah, my left to right. Anyway, so Tony Childs played by Jill Marie. What the hell was Jill Marie's last name? Jill Marie something. Uh, Jill Marie Jones. And then Golden Brooks played Maya Wilkes. And then you have Tracy Ellis Ross. She played Joan Clayton. And then Persia White on the far end, on the right, on the end, played Lynn Searcy. Right now, this one, the tropes are more defined, and it's crazy that it's even split even more down the color lines. Right, so the two darker skinned women on the left, right? Okay, so Tony Childs, she picked up on the diva thing where Regine left off, right? She was all about money, 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 right? She didn't want to deal with any dude that wasn't a millionaire, and I think she was like a realty agent. She was a realtor, and she didn't want to deal with any dude that wasn't making significant amount of money. And much like Regine, she relied on her cleavage to attract men and get what she wants. So she used what she had to get what she wanted, pretty much like Regine, but she just took it up a notch because unlike Regine didn't go around having just random sex or whatever, just casual sex with dudes. Well, this one, Tony actually was a little bit freer with giving out, having sex with dudes more than Regine was, right? I don't even remember Regine really particularly much that talking about having sex. It was more so uh Khadija and Max, more so Max than anybody. But anyway, so Tony Childs took it up a notch, right? So then the next one, Golden Brooks Maya, she was actually married to a blue collar brother. Now, so she fit more into the what Patricia Hills Collins called the um, welfare recipient, but like I said, that has evolved to be ghetto now, right? During that time, hey, when you say someone's ghetto, you're basically saying the welfare recipient, right? Because that's the assumption, right? Or um, those are the things that you typically associate with someone being from the ghetto or someone receiving welfare, and they used to put it on black people, black women, or whatever. And we know that it isn't true based on the numbers or whatever, but that was the stereotype running around. So it referred to more to ghetto because she I think she was from the hood, right? She was from the hood, blue collar brother who was a mechanic, and she didn't have too much going on, but she was friends with Joan. Joan gave her a job in her law office, right? As a secretary or whatever, receptionist or whatever she was, right? Assistant. And now for those two, both of those two were the smarter mouth people on the show, right? They were the ones that were gonna, have more of an attitude. Like, Tony she had a lot of attitude, and then even Maya was the type that would basically tell her boss what she wasn't going to do, or, so forth and so on. She would take calls at work. She would do all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, just you name it, Maya did it at work or whatever, right? So they threw those two tropes in there for them that, you know, now the darker skinned ones are, the more aggressive women in the group, right? And then the two lighter skinned ones, they were the more meek and humble in terms of if there's going to be any fighting going down, it's going to be, the two on the left, and the other two on the right were scary. Because there was a time that I think they went to a club, and a fight broke out, and you know I don't know if it was both, but I know Joan ran or she didn't help in the fight or whatever. Like it was like a fight on four, and then it turned up to be 4-on-3 because Joan bounced and she didn't want to fight or whatever. So, but anyway, so Joan, she was, like I said, she's a lawyer. She gets the matriarch again. She's the lead. She's the show lead. Now the feminist thing took root more in this one, in this show. The whole I can do exactly what a man was. She was at a law office, and it was more about, hey, I can do exactly what men are doing, and why can't I, get promoted and so forth because it's my sex and blah 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 blah, right? Lynn on the end, she was the absolute she was a bum. Let's So that trope carried over, right? There's always a bum in the group. She was more so the bum. She was the artsy one. She was a singer or whatever, trying to be in a. She couldn't hold down a job. She couldn't keep a job. And then she was the one that was, let's just call it, she was the 304. Had a had a degree. She had skills that she could have used to work. She just didn't want to work. She wanted to either live off her friends or game the system, or and she was free willy nilly with having sex here and there, right? And I think this is where, because I think she hooked up with a girl a couple of times or whatever, so they kind of started introducing the lesbian aspect in this show. but she definitely gets the Jezebel Award because that was her thing. Again, Joan was the matriarch. You know, even though she couldn't keep a man, she quote unquote had the most together and always had to be there for her friends. You know, whether it was giving Maya a job, just trying to help Lynn do something, right? Just try to find her way, or whenever Tony got into trouble, she was there to help Tony as well. You know, she was there to help Maya, though Maya was married, and this is Tony here. This is who she married in the show. She married a Jewish guy, but the guy the guy had money, so she's like, all right, I gotta lock somebody down because she let a lot of brothers go by. So she wind up, locking that brother down, right? And this is who Joan finally thought she was going to get with when the show ended. And this brother went. This is during the Iraq War or whatever was still going on. So he had got deployed, and she was waiting for him to come back. He wanted to marry her, but the show ended because there was a writers' strike in Hollywood. The writers went on strike to get better pay and benefits and so forth. So that strike happened. A lot of shows shut down, and then when the writers came back, they didn't continue the show. So here's Tony. Like I said, she always had that look on her face, right? She kept that look on her face the whole time she was on the show, right? For the whole 6 years, because she left the show early, and I think it was because of contract disputes or whatever. She wound up leaving the show, or there was some problems with her and some of the other cast members or whatever, right? This is Persia White's real life husband here. The chick has hit the wall real bad. She's actually just turned 40, but you can see, you can see that she's aging like milk there. But anyway, so Maya Maya was married to this brother here, Darnell, and she wind up actually cheating on the brother, right? And you know, Joan had to be there to help her, right? Now, this show, and I was this show, they did keep one male character in here that he he was friends with the whole group. He kind of wound up hooking up with one or two of them in the group, but white collar brother, funny all around, um, you know, relatable brother. So to keep in the show, and again, to keep men invested in the show, right? Because it isn't just about the boyfriends, and most of them are interchangeable. Hell, even Darnell, Maya's husband, was interchangeable, meaning there were long periods of time that he was off the show, that he wasn't even on the show or whatever. So now the one thing that they did that I caught was they changed the dynamic, right? When I was saying most in terms of living single, most of those women were considered uh in terms of beauty standards, overweight or funny shaped or whatever, other than Max, right? But this show had all thin women. In fact, even for the time, some of them were extremely skinny, meaning Maya and Tony or whatever, and the yellow Tonys and the yellow Mayas and the white. They were actually like, dang, they needed a meal. They looked unhealthy. They were so skinny, especially Maya with the purple on. And you can see here how even for that time, that was 2000s or whatever, right? Early 2000s. Even for that time period, it was like she was super skinny, right? But nonetheless, see, she took the diva thing to the next level, right? Joan was kind of goofy. I think when the first season they had this goofy thing to where she would look in the mirror and have like talk to herself or whatever. This is Golden Brooks and the brother DB Woodside. I think they have a baby together. They never did get married, and she's not married now, but they did have a child together or what have you. But anyway, so yeah, so they were they were more in shape than the cast of the show prior to this one. It is, what's her name, Persia White, just really hit the wall bad, or the wall hit her. It looked like sheesh. But anyway, um, yeah, here they go again. All of them, and like I said, you can see, and the brother was the brother was he was real skinny back then too, because he hit the wall too. I gotta call the brother out, Reggie White. There, you can see Lynn. She's I don't know what happened to Lynn here, but she's anyway. Let me There he goes right there. I'm like, damn, bro, sheesh. I don't know what happened to the brother, man, but he was funny. I mean, I liked him on the show. It was a good character. It was written well for him, right? But the brother went through some stuff, man. Depression, I would imagine. But here's these two. You can see just in the posture, you can see the attitude. So they are the diva, stuck up, um, sassy black woman kind of tropes that they had. This is Persia White and her first husband, artsy type dude making music or whatever. But anywho, all right. So let's jump on. Let's keep moving here. Next show, Insecure. All right, Insecure with Issa Rae and the crew here. This is a picture of Issa Rae and three of the other characters. Issa Rae's in red. Hold on. Issa Rae is in the red there, and her character is, hell, I don't even know her last name. Issa D or something like that, right? Yvonne Orji is with the black leather on. Um, Starting from the left is Yvonne Orji. She played Molly Carter, which is uh Issa's best friend. Issa's in the orange. Then to the brother standing there, that's what's the guy's name? His name is Lawrence on the show. Jay Ellis is the brother's name. Jay Ellis. And then the chick there is Kelly. Her name is slipping my mind right now. Anyway, so that's this is part of this isn't all the cast here. Let me get to all of the cast here. But things shifted here in this particular depiction. There's the other cast members right here, right? So the chick, she plays Tiffany Dubois. She's played by Amanda Seals, and then that's her simp husband, and I don't even know his name. He doesn't even get deserve to have his name called because he's such a simp on this damn show. You can see right here by by this picture, he's with the women and he's holding the bags, right? What is this girl's name? Kelly. I can't think of what Kelly's name is right now. I don't know why this name slips my mind here. But anyway, no, okay, Natasha Rothwell. I had to look that up. But Natasha Rothwell, that's Kelly, right? She plays Kelly, the friend. All right. So now we see what we got here. Okay. So let's look at the tropes. All right. So Kelly's the bigger sister on the panel here, or on the cast. And guess what? She's the sassy one as well, right? She falls into um the sassy black role, sassy black woman role. The mammy stereotype, because she's overweight sisters. She has to be the loud one, the loud mouth. And throughout the whole show, okay, you'll see Issa and Molly with, you know, Molly. Hold on, let me finish before I get to Molly. So Kelly, the biggest, she's, like I said, she's playing the mammy, the sassy black woman role here, and so much so that I think this show has been on 5 years. This show's been on 5 years, from 2016 to 2021. This is the last year. This is the final season. She maybe had like one boyfriend, I think. I mean, and then maybe for one or two episodes that you only saw that she had some type of male attention. And for this show to be created and written and executive produced and all this kind of stuff by Issa Rae, you know, it didn't throw the big woman, the big women in the community any kind of bones, right? It she wrote right into the stereotype, and this is what I was talking about, that even when black women are in charge of these shows, um, I have a theory of why, but even when black women are in charge of these shows, or they're the showrunners, they're the writers, they're the creators, they run the show, whatever. She runs this show. Even when they are, they still have these same tropes available. They still have these same tropes present. Excuse me. And Black feminist thought, Patricia Collins, Hill Collins, she said they gotta challenge these things, and they're actually playing into it. So then Molly, who has on the skirt with the Stanford uh, sweatshirt on, she fits the Jezebel, right? She let me go back. Kelly was, she is a professional also. She was some type of financial planner, I know, or a lawyer, something to that effect. Recently I finally figured out what the hell she did. She was kind of like Tommy from Martin, who had the non-existent job that I didn't know what the heck she was doing until she just helped Molly and her parents write up a will. So that's what she kind of does. But anyway, Molly is a lawyer, and she's the Jezebel of the group, right? She's the one that's in and out of, you know, no real commitments to dudes. And it doesn't matter who it is, she will get with him here or there. Um, so she fits more of that stereotype. She's very more masculine, and she plays a Nigerian in it, which is funny because her last name is Carter in the show. But and this is where in this show it kind of, hey, let's we will differentiate ourselves from being just Black American, right? And I think Issa also, but I mean, I know they are in real life. They're both Nigerian in real life, and then Amanda Seals is from Grenada, I think. She's from somewhere in the Caribbean, right? And I think the only one that's a Black American woman is the woman on the end there, Kelly. So I think that fits because I saw that in some of the show, in some of the other shows when they portrayed Black American women, they were real ghetto. Lawrence had him and Issa broke up, and he had this fling with this girl at I don't know, at the bank or something. Somewhere he met this girl. She was real ghetto or whatever, and it was just like, okay, so Black American woman gets portrayed as really ghetto. Even Kelly isn't ghetto. She's just loud and has that sassy mammy thing going or whatever. But there's no really no ghetto woman. There's no really ghetto person on the cast other than one of Lawrence's chicks that he was dealing with or whatever, right? But anyway, you know, Molly Yvonne Orji's character, and in real life she's like this big Christian, says she's a virgin, all this kind of stuff. So it was weird to see her playing this chick who just in and out of beds and so forth. Pretty much starting it up. Now Issa is she's kind of the dingbat of the group, right? Even though she's the lead of the show, and the show is about her, and it comes from that awkward Black girl show that she had. She's kind of a dingbat, and she doesn't have life together at all, like whatsoever. So she's like the bum. She's like the bum chick of that bum stereotype. She's like the bum one of this group, right? Everybody else has something going on. She doesn't really have a career. She doesn't really have a career. She kind of thoughts it up here and there. In some seasons of the show, and she's trying to find herself, even after all those years or whatever. They're in their late 30s, mid to late 30s, and she's trying to find herself, right? And then the green is Tiffany Dubois, I think is what I say, Dubois, played by Amanda Seals. she's more of the matriarch, right? She pretty much has everything going on. She has a husband, he takes good care of her, et cetera, and she's kind of try to keep them on track with their lives and so forth. Um, you know, uh, so she has the matriarch of the show. So it kind of switched from the lead, and this show really pushed the feminism stuff. Is real heavy in the feminism thing, and now with this show, social media is available, so the actors and actresses or whatever, they they really pushed that. It was their characters, and then in real life they really pushed that or whatever. Um, Push that narrative. And this is Issa from the um, Awkward Black Girl show. This is what she looked like when she was doing the Awkward Black Girl show. So I think a lot of the those, whether they're black feminists or they're black feminist leaning, they really relate to this because they talk about Issa's glow up. And here's what I was talking about Kelly with the one scene from the one boyfriend that I think she had on the whole show for the whole 5 years. But anyway, so Issa had pretty much of a glow up, and what they call a glow up because they were just looking at her pictures from the beginning of the show till now. She got herself in shape, and I could think she became vegan or something, and skin looks better, taking care of her hair better, and then she pulled a fast one on them, running around talking about all this feminism stuff, and she got married in secret, and the pictures hit the internet, and the internet went wild or whatever with that whole thing. And so she got her man and got out the game. And so there's some more pictures of the simp and the chick. I mean, the dude has like no backbone. And this is one of Molly and one of her dudes, they had her dating some of everybody. I mean, in this one it was the Asian, they pushed the Asian thing, and here's Amanda Seals again, and this chick is like the worst on the show. This is my man Jay Ellis. It's so funny that Issa tried to write the dude out of the show, like they broke up in the first or second season, and Issa tried to write him out of the show. It wasn't even black dudes or dudes who was upset that he was written out of the show. It was actually her female fans let her know about it on Twitter, and they were hot, so they actually had to keep the brother in the show because they liked that dude that much or whatever. They tried to throw some dirt on him again or whatever later on when he had a baby with another chick or whatever. But you know this is her back then with the awkward black girl, and you can see the difference in terms of uh, how she looked back then as opposed to now. And some of the cast here, and the one gay dude in the show is related to, who's the dude related to? I can't remember who he's related to, but he's the dude in the hat, the one gay dude in the show. So we've done three shows, and they didn't have like a serious like which I just found funny. They would have it every now and again or whatever, and I don't think I remember any of it in Living Single, but in this, it's the he's the only brother on there that's homosexual. But it was funny back in the '80s when anytime there was anybody homosexual in his show or whatever, it was always a white dude, right? Nothing more like, so it was synonymous. Being gay was synonymous with being with being white back in the '80s. I never forget it. It was like every time it's like, oh man, it's always a white dude, right? And but they didn't they weren't on that. It's more on the female side to make that normal, and that's why I'm doing this, really, because it's the narratives and the things that they're pushing, the they're trying to normalize it with women. And you're going to see a bunch of molly's molly's dudes that she's been with, Issa and her husband again, Kelly and old girl. And see that picture of this, when this picture hit the internet of Issa Rae, and they were, comparing, it was like, oh, that's when they were talking about the glow up and how much better she looked now than she did back then or whatever. I still think she looks like a goofball or whatever in terms of just seeing her. She's like got a goofy character. So this is my man, Jay Ellis Lawrence with his baby and his the baby mom or whatever. And here's her family. Here the girls again, Lawrence again. And that's my man that Issa cheated with right there. Dude, I don't know his name, but his name was Daniel on the show. She cheated on my man Jay Ellis because he didn't have his stuff together at first. He was trying to find himself, trying to figure out what he wanted to do. So he was on the couch, and she ran into this was an old boyfriend of hers, so she wound up getting with the dude. This is Yvonne Orji and Emmanuel Ochoa. They are engaged, and this is her on one of the other boyfriends on the show. Like I said, she had the most boyfriends on the show. There's Eason, one of her boyfriends, the one that she's with currently, I think, on the show. Whatever. So this is Kelly, and there's this dude Simp here. All right, yeah, that's them right there. Emmanuel Ochoa, whatever his name is, Daniel and Issa again. All right, so let's keep going here. Next show, Run the World. Run the World here. This is the next show. Run the World. I think this just came out in 2021. Let me see here. Let me get the full cast here. Where are they at? Get the full cast here. All right, we'll start. We'll start here with this one. All right. So this is the show called Run the World, and from left to right, that is Amber Stevens West. She plays Whitney, and then that is Corbin Reed. She plays Sandy. Excuse me. And then in the so that's Sandy or Corbin Reed is in the yellow or gold or whatever that is, and Brescia Webb is in the what is that pink whatever color that is. She plays Renee, and then uh, on the right is Andrea Bordeaux. She plays Ella. All right, so it's gonna it's gonna fall down the same thing. It's gonna and what's her name is a it seems a lot lighter on the show, but the Corbin Reed Sandy character, but it falls down the color lines again. Let me skip past this here. Let's see here. All right, there we go. All right, I'll use that one. All right, so on the left, Amber Stevens West is Whitney. Whitney is I don't know what she does. What does she do? She's like a lawyer or accountant. What is that? I can't something in finance. I can't remember what it is that she does. Yeah, I can't remember what exactly her profession is on the dang show. Anyway, so her character, she's about to get married, but she's a professional woman. She's kind of a what would you call that? Like a square, I guess, or not a square, but uh she's what's the word I'm looking for? She's not overly what do you call that? She's kind of I'm using all 80s words. She's like a prude. And a prude means like she's not adventurous. She's very straight and narrow. She doesn't take chances. She doesn't take risks or whatever, right? And um so yeah, she was in finance as a banker or something to that effect, right? And she's about to marry a dude who's a doctor, and we'll get to him in a little bit later, right? So she has everything going on, about to marry the perfect guy as a doctor, so out of all of them on the show, she's the most together, right? She has her career, she has the man, um, and again in this one, the feminist agenda is being pushed more. She's the lead of the show. She's the main character, and Um, she sort of sort of falls into the matriarch role. I think more so than Sandy, the one on the far right end, but they're kind of both in that role. But I think she probably fits it a little bit more. Let me keep going before I give details. So Ella, one next with her sister with the short hair, the Andrea Bordeaux, she plays a chick named Ella. Okay, she 100%. It's easy to see she falls into the Jezebel role, right? She, I mean, um, right out the gate, she's you know having I think in the first episode she had sex with two or three dudes or whatever. In the very first episode, I believe that I when I saw it, I was like, okay, well, it's clearly established what trope she's fitting into. She's the artsy one. She's the overly feminist one. She's the overly pro black one, which is weird because they made sure to show her having sex with a white dude, and this show has a direct tie right back to living single because the chick who wrote Living Single, Yvette Lee Bowser, or the showrunner, the creator, or whatever, is directly tied into this show. Also, Erica Alexander plays Barb, who's her boss, or she finally got a job because she's kind of like the bum of the show, right? She's artsy, she's a writer, and writing, freelance writer. So money is kind of hit or miss. So she's more of the artsy bum type chick, and has to buckle down and try to hold some type of job so that she can take care of herself or whatever, right? And then the next sister in the pink is Brisha Webb. She plays Renee, who's married. She's absolutely the sassy black woman of the group. The smart mouth, the neck rolling, that kind of thing. She's absolutely that character. It's really easy to see the tropes that they play in. And again, this is a black woman, Yvette Lee Bowser, who is the showrunner or creator of this show, who's been around in Hollywood for a while because, like I said, did the same thing for Living Single. So they put him in the they put the same stereotypical tropes in here. And Brescia, even though she's educated, she's more of the, or I should say, not necessarily educated, but she has a degree and she has a decent job and so forth. Uh, she's more of the ghetto one. Not just is she loud and sassy or whatever, but a lot of the things that she does is as if she was still in the hood. So they kept that trope or whatever, right? Um, Sandy, who is played by Corbin Reed, the one in the white and the black with the natural do. She she's a PhD candidate, or she's a teacher's assistant or whatever, right? She's um yeah, she's like a teacher or whatever it is. I'm not a teacher, but like she's a professor. She's a professor's assistant. I can't think of what you call those or whatever, right? Um, she's dealing with a dude who has a child, so she kind of, you know, takes on the motherly role. That's why I said it's kind of it's shared role between her and uh, Amber Stewart, or Whitney, the Whitney character, who is the matriarch. Though the show is centered around Whitney, Amber Stevens' character, because Sandy is, you know, playing mother to, or stepmother to, her boyfriend's child. She kind of fits into uh, that matriarchal role as well, right? So here again, but the, here again, the two light skinned ones, they're not the sassy black or Jezebel. They are dealing with one dude. Now, do they have some hiccups and so forth? Of course, they have to write in these types of things for the show. I think it was on IMDb. Um, the Brisha Webb character, which is Renee, she's described as the wild one. She's highly educated, but just she's just kind of out there, or whatever, and she's looking to divorce the husband. So now getting into it, they have the Whitney character, episode one, which is this thing is weird, right? So yeah, let me focus right here real quick. So this is pretty much the full cast, right? The show leads and their romantic interests in the show or whatever, right? So that's Renee's husband that she's kind of hugged up with. I don't know the brother's name. And I don't think I can pronounce this brother's name. That's Whitney, who's in the black. The brother in the gray, that's her doctor husband, who's Ola. His name is Ola. And what is his name? Tosin. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that last name. Anyway, the brother next to him, the light skinned brother, Stephen Bishop, he plays Matthew. That's the boyfriend of Sandy, who's in the gold or yellow or whatever that color is. And then on the end is Ella, and that's her dude, Anderson. He left her, like, he comes back in the show, but apparently before the show started, he left her high and dry, and it broke her heart or whatever. And that's the dude that got away. But of course, in these type shows, no matter no matter how bad your attitude is, no matter how bad the women's attitudes are, no matter what they do or whatever, they always get a second chance or a third or fourth chance at finding a dude. And we just know that that is not real life. But she gets a chance. She gets a second chance with the dude or whatever, right? So now the Whitney character, even though she's about to marry the doctor, the dude, you know, who has everything going on. There's no flaws to the dude, right? Amber seen in the red here, or Whitney, excuse me, Amber Stevens, that's her real name, but Whitney on the show, she's seen in red. Hold on, let me go back. She's seen in the red here. She first episode, she cheats on her fiance, about to get married in, I mean, less than a month or what, 2 months or whatever it was, very short time frame. Now the dude that she cheated with have had sex with at least two of them. I think Sandy and Ella. I can't remember exactly which two. She had sex with two of her friends, and then a third person that is not one of the main cast members, but is another friend of theirs. And they were talking about how good the eggplant was and so forth and so on. And she was, oh, now I'm regretting, I'm about to get married and I haven't had a chance to live like this or whatever. And she decides you know to test out the eggplant for herself. So she cheats on the boyfriend or whatever, right? And from back when I understood, from back in the days, girls was look for the most part was like, hey, that's off limits. Like if you had sex with a dude, then I'm not messing with the dude, especially if they're close friends, right? I mean, if they were casual acquaintances, then maybe, but if they were like these people, like close friends, known each other for 20 some odd years or whatever, like these people have known each other, and they were like, yo, they had sex with the dude. It was like he was done with the rest of the group. That was coming up in my generation or whatever. But apparently, I guess those rules don't apply anymore because she surely did have sex with the dude. And these are her parents, right? That dude looks like John Snyder. I swear, I thought that was John Snyder. I had to look that dude's name up. I was like, okay, and I should have pulled up a picture of John Snyder so you guys could see this guy. John Snyder, he played what was that show? Tyler Perry show, The Have and Have Nots. I think he was the white dude on that show, and this dude looks just like that guy. But anyway, I knew she was mixed or whatever. I knew that right away as soon as I saw her, but I was like, yeah, just to confirm it. And of course, these are her parents. And that dude in the middle with the white on, That was the dude, like the one gay character. I think Dave said he wasn't, but I was like, he was. Back then, we only knew him to be feminine, right? The one feminine dude on a show full of women. I think that was called Designing Women, and we was on the show with a bunch of white women, and I hated that show because they were Southern white women, and they had all them racist tropes on that damn show. And he was a black dude on there, and he damn was feminine, and I really hated that show. I couldn't stand that show or whatever. But anyway, I can't even think of his name now, but that's that brother. Um, anyway, so this is them getting fitted for their dresses or whatever, right? And then, like I said, they got the I mean, they keep the tropes going, man. I mean, the dark skinned women are the Jezebels and the loud, sassy ones. Every damn near every show is it's the same. It's been the same since I started with Living Single, with Max. And they aren't stopping it. The lighter skinned women are always the more mild mannered. Like I said, Whitney was totally, you know, inexperienced. She didn't have all the wild times like some of the other girls had. And the girl Ella with the bald head there, like I said again, is the pro black one, you know. Um, these people are being labeled as, and this is what these people are saying about their characters, right? The real people, Robin, Corbin Reed or whatever. She's saying that Sandy is passive aggressive, and they're all quote unquote woke, right? They're all quote unquote woke, but she's passive aggressive. She doesn't start crap, so she's she's more mild mannered. But the other two, especially Brisha, the one in the pinkish looking dress, you know, she's gonna get it in or whatever. This is a bigger look at all the characters. Like I said, Erica Alexander, she plays Ella's boss. So there's two direct ties right back to Living Single, um, with Yvette Lee Bowser and Erica Alexander being associated with this show. So two direct ties or whatever, right? Um, again, Brisha Webb's character, she's about to get divorced, and then of course, getting divorced, you gotta go out and you know uh ride the CC, as they call it. They need, need to change that. The eggplant carousel, right? Is what they call it or whatever, here in the YouTube streets. So this is Amber and her husband, one of their kids, and she's pregnant now. And I'm guessing. I don't know if they're filming now. I don't know if she'll have the baby by the time they start season two, because I knew it was going to get renewed easily when I watched like two or three episodes. I was like, okay, this is getting renewed. It's pushing all of the wokey woke stuff that you see on Twitter. And Twitter is writing these shows, by the way. These new shows, absolutely, they take all of their talking points from straight from Twitter. Black Twitter, whatever you want to call it, they're taking those things straight from there. All of the things that the black feminists want to see on Twitter, they're taking it. The dark skinned black woman getting with the white dude, they love it, or whatever. They're talking about the ashy hoteps and all of these things in these shows. They're getting this stuff straight from, Twitter. I mean, it is not even, it is so funny how much they're doing it. Here's them again. Let me see here. All right, so this is Sunday and her boyfriend. I don't think she's married to the dude. This is a picture of Amber's parents back in the day. Her mom was an actress. Her dad was some type of radio show guy. Yeah, that dude looks like John Snyder. I'm sorry. That's Amber's parents again. And here's what I'm talking about. This is Andrea Bordeaux, real life boyfriend. Dark skinned black woman, natural hair, with a white dude. The perfect couple for black feminists on Twitter. I mean, it's absolute the perfect, picture perfect, what they want to see here. Here's Whitney and Ola. That's the dude's name on the show. That's her fiance. He's Nigerian as well. Um, and there's Erica Alexander. She's talking to Ella. She's like a music mogul. So I think what's her name is writing for for the Complex magazine or whatever it is they call it or whatever. I know she's a writer. I can't remember exactly what she's writing for. But anyway, I think that is it that I wanted to cover here. Yeah, there's my man. He's a doctor. Yeah, that dude's John Snyder, man. I'm telling you. I think it's John Snyder's brother. Brother. Sheesh. All right, yeah, that's it for this. So, yeah, but the tropes are going again. I mean, they're still there. Sassy black woman. You get, and then you have the strong black woman tropes throughout all of these shows, right? Um, the amount of pain or crap that these women can tolerate plays into that strong black woman trope. And again, like I said, they are introducing the new trope that they didn't have to do in Living Single or in Living Single, excuse me. They didn't have to do that pro black woke stuff. They're starting to introduce that into these shows, these last two shows. Um, they did it in Insecure as well. Not as clear cut as this because again, like I said, Twitter's running these shows. The writers of the show, they go to Twitter to get their talking points for the shows. I'm absolutely sure of it. Let's jump into this last show. And this last show here is Harlem. It is called Harlem. And again, this show, this show here, okay. All right. So some of these people will recognize, right? We recognize Megan Good. She's the lead of the show. Her character is Camille. This other girl is Grace Byers in the middle with the blue or turquoise, whatever, green, whatever the color is, whatever. That's her name is Quinn. Um, let me see. Okay, so let me back up. Megan Good is like a professor. She's an anthropology professor, right? And I think she's a PhD. She's anthropology professor. And then Quinn Grace Byers. I think she played on what's that show? Empire. I think that's the only other show uh, that um, that I'm familiar with when looking up her IMDb that I'm familiar with. I haven't seen or even heard of half the other shows that she was in. She is or she used to be like um, I don't know, finance lawyer, finance accountant, something in the finance field. Now she owns her own boutique. She owns her own boutique, and then the next person is Ty in the black. Ty is like an entrepreneur. She's in the tech field. She's an entrepreneur in the tech field. And then, of course, the end is, oh, I'm sorry. Ty is played by Jerry Johnson. And then the last one with the um, black feminist starter kit, the red goddamn lipstick, the nose ring, and then the wild bushy hair or the afro, whatever you want to call it. That is Shaniqua Shanday, and she plays Angie, right? All right, you already know where I'm going because it falls down color lines again, right? Angie, absolutely 100% is the ghetto mammy stereotype because she's a bigger chick on the show, bigger than the rest of them. But the loud one, I mean, they just rapped. I was like, wow, they threw all the negative, most of the negative. Let me say that most of the negative tropes onto that sister, like her character. She absolutely gets the mammy role. She gets the sassy black woman, and then she gets the bum stereotype, right? She's the artsy chick. She's a singer, and she isn't doing too well in her career. She isn't doing that well in her career. She has to live on Quinn's couch. She has to she had to live with Quinn, and she's constantly bumming money off Quinn. And she doesn't want to work a regular job because she wants to pursue her career, which is singing. But she gets all of the tropes, man. She gets the ghetto thing. I mean, she's loud, sassy black, just gonna tell people off in a minute. Any any job that she does have, she any little gig that she does have, she's cursing people out. Um, and with her, it is kind of like Kelly on Insecure. So it's kind of like Kelly on Insecure. she really, she doesn't really have. By the time the show ends, she doesn't really have a stable dude. she's They have a there's an episode called excuse me, let me get a drink. So by the time the show ends, she doesn't really have anybody, a any type of love interest that is serious. she There's an episode. I mean, it's so bad with her. There's an episode with her called Cuffing Season. She's running around trying to find the big the big N word. She call him the big N word because it's cuffing season. It's the winter time. You want to find the big dude with the big eggplant so you can lay up with him for the winter. And then when the winter's over, and she was like, I usually have a rotation, but you don't really see that interaction with her. There's one interaction that she has, and like I said, they gave her the bottom of the barrel, kind of like this. There was a show back in the '80s. There was a show back in the '80s. I think it was called. I remember seeing this show, and because I always remarked about it. It's called Saved by the Bell. It's called Saved by the Bell, and it had, it was pretty much a white show, and it had a lot of white people on it, and one black girl. um, can't even think of the black girl's name right now. But anyway, so like three white dudes. Well, he was a Hispanic white dude, but two white dudes and a Hispanic white dude, and then two white girls and then a black girl. And when they paired them off, they always paired the black girl off with the white dude named Screech, the damn nerd dude, right? And I always found that funny. I was like, okay, you get a black girl at the bottom of the barrel, and I'm going to tell you about that in a second. But let me keep going here. So she gets the sassy black mammy, sassy black woman, the ghetto mammy role. Um, the one in the black, Ty, again, she's the tech entrepreneur. She invented an app for queer people of color to find love, and that's her claim to fame. She's pro blackity black. Again, she's a lesbian, and she finds a way. They find a way to make sure that she has sex with a white woman. In a sense, and she started trying, really wanted to kick it with the white woman, but then uh, felt guilty about being with a white woman, and of course they threw the trope in there that, oh, when black men get successful, they go get them a white woman. And she's like, I feel like I'm doing the same thing. And there was even a scene in there. It was actually kind of funny. There were two scenes. One scene, a black lesbian couple walked by her holding hands with the white woman, and they gave her this look, and she felt out of place. Another scene, she walking with the white woman again, and then sees a black dude with a white woman. The black dude gives it a head nod. I was crying on that scene because that was actually funny. He gives it a head nod for two reasons. He gave it a head nod. Brothers give each other the nod. So it, to me, I took it as he he gave you the nod like you're a brother. You're his brother in uh you know white woman in dealing with white women. So that was the nod that I gave. So she is absolutely 100%. She gets the Jezebel Award in this one. And see, like I said, if things keep right along the color lines. There was a black woman that did this show too. I can't think of her name right offhand. But anyway, right down the color lines, the two darker skinned sisters, they get the worst tropes, they get the worst stereotypes, right? You know, it's either the Jezebel or the loud, sassy, ghetto, whatever type thing. And what's her name is, she's hooking up with chicks left and right in this show. I mean, the first episode or two, I think she was with three or four people, I believe. I mean, it was just like, okay, yeah, they are not deviating. And these shows are loved by these black feminists on Twitter, which is funny because, like I said, they love to scream about the colorist thing, but for some reason they're colorblind when it comes to these shows. But these shows are clear that they understand the lighter skinned women are the more meek, timid women. The darker skinned ones are the more aggressive ones. I mean, and it's been this way in every show that I've looked at. And this is 30 years of programming in the black community. Black women are being programmed for 30 years with these shows, and it's going to continue because I'm sure that this is going to get a second season. You know, um, what's that show? Run the World already has been renewed, right? Another funny thing I noticed about this show, it's called Harlem. Run the World is set in Harlem also, but this show was real. It was real. It stood out to me. I mean, it was real obvious with this. They love to show Malcolm X Boulevard. They love to show Malcolm X Boulevard, and then show something dealing with homosexuality right after that. And it was like, there's no coincidence in anything as far as I'm concerned. I think all this stuff is by design because they were trying to put that on Malcolm a while back. That some dude wrote a book that was saying that Malcolm was homosexual or whatever, right? So Quinn Quinn has rich parents. She's Caribbean. Her mom is played by Jasmine Guy, and they're Caribbean, Jamaican, I think specifically. She has a boutique. Had a dude, that you know this. She had a dude that she could have married. He was in finance with her. They were co-workers and dating at the time, and she quit to go do her boutique. And then he shows up married, and his wife is pregnant, and it's like that. The mom is like, that could have been you or whatever. Real timid, but always gonna mess something up, right? The lead of the show again is Megan Good, played by her Camille. She's the one pushing all the feminist tropes, the majority of them, because at the beginning of each episode is something talking about the feminist tropes. At the very beginning of the show, it starts off talking about some women in um, some part of Mongolia or China or wherever they were at, and it was talking about the walking marriage where women decided who they were married to, and they controlled the reins of relationships. So they would invite dudes back. The women, she was saying that the women, I would have included some of this footage, but we'd have been here for hours. But I may do each one of them breakdown or whatever. Maybe just this last one, actually, since it's the last one. But anyway, so the women would have their own homes. The men actually stayed with their parents. Um, and the women would invite different suitors back to their beds, and so forth. So that she was basically, so each episode would start off with something in anthropology, looking at different cultures around the world and how could we adapt it here for the women here and empower women, right? She's the one that let a dude get away and she's focused on work and so forth and so on. And they're all pretty much that way except for um Ty, who isn't looking for a dude at all. But anyway, let's keep going here because I'm gonna tell you some more specific things about each one of them that I saw. But oh, I'm sorry, I didn't actually give you the breakdown of these characters here. So in this show, obviously the matriarch goes to Camille, which is Megan Good's character. She's the matriarch of the show, and I would say that she gets the Diva Award, which is Quinn. She she comes from money. Like her parents have money. Well, I don't necessarily, you don't really see her dad, but you see her mom quite often, and her mom has to, you know, quite often gives her money and has been bailing her out. So she kind of gets that award. Again, Angie, the one on the end with the afro, she gets the bum award because she's sleeping on Quinn's couch. Quinn has the money, but Quinn is the kind of went back to the, wouldn't necessarily say she's dingy, but she's not the sharpest tool in the drawer, if you will. Even though she came from has a finance background, she has, okay. She lacks common sense. That's what I'm looking for. That's the word I'm looking for. She lacks common sense. There's a lot of things that she does that does just makes no sense or whatever, right? And let's keep going. I'm gonna. All right, this is Megan Good and her dude, her real life husband. I think Devin Franklin. He's a pastor or something like this. I know some of the blogs or some of the sites were saying that they might have been broke up or they're breaking up because, th- um, I guess they don't follow each other on social media. I think I saw it on the Breakfast Club. I don't know how these people know this stuff, but um, he's a pastor. They were really in the really in the church. So it's funny that she's playing in in this show because it's kind of far out there on this whole sex thing. Um, and he actually made her be celibate, and she was talking about how hard that was or whatever before they got married. And I'm like, so I don't know exactly what's going on with that. We'll see in a while, but it seems that she's getting more roles now. Maybe being married kind of stopped her from taking as many roles as she did before because she kind of dropped off the scene. But now she's back with this series, and I think she's in another series coming up soon. I think it's called Minority Report, I believe. But anyway, that'll be coming up soon. This is the brother who she was engaged, or he was about to propose to her. They were going to go away to Paris or whatever. His name is Ian. His real name is Tyler Lepley. Ian in the show, he's a chef, and that's his aunt. And I forgot to include a picture of her. I need to get a picture of this lady because she they have two mammy sassy black women characters in this show. She's the second one. Like, so whenever Angie's not around, they make sure to have this woman around being the loud sassy black one. And I'm gonna get her. I'm gonna grab that before I end because I was meaning to include it, but I actually forgot. All right, so they got Whoopi Goldberg and Jasmine Guy in this, and I swear Whoopi Goldberg looks 1,000 times better than Jasmine Guy, and she's older. I don't know what the heck happened to Jasmine Guy, but Jasmine Guy is only 57, I think. I think she's like 9 years older than me or something to that effect. She's 57, and I think Whoopi's past 60, I believe. And Whoopi looks 1,000 times better than her. I don't know what the heck happened to Jasmine Guy, man. Life is hard. There's some scenes here. So this is old girl staying on her couch. This is Quinn. So Quinn, like I said, she's more of the diva, high maintenance type of chick. All right, now this brother here, this brother, Robert Richard, I think that's his name, and he plays Matthew in the show. He actually turns out to be a good dude, but what happened here. So all the women are having men trouble, except for Ty. She's a lesbian, right? So they decide, in particular, Quinn and Camille. They decide, all right, look, we're gonna go out to the strip club, and we're just gonna have a random sex with some random stranger that we don't know, just because, right? This turned out to be the stripper that was stripping for them. He and Quinn hit it off. So goes through with it. Okay, I'm gonna have a one night stand with this dude. Turns out to be like a good dude, and the dude that like she's been looking for, like looking for a good dude, not a bad dude, and was like, all right, cool, we could do whatever, but yo, I like you or whatever. And then the chick is really kind of blowing it because she's embarrassed about what the dude does when she takes him somewhere, and he's being introduced to other people, and he's a stripper, so she introduces him as a dancer. He has a son. She denies that he has a son, and then tries to put all this education on him. And dude was like, "Yo, I know when people are embarrassed," and bounces. I was like, "Okay, so here she is with no common sense. Instead of just live your truth. You know, if the dude is a good dude, there's him when he was. Someone took a screenshot of him stripping or whatever, and yeah, this is old girl. Angie, right? So she's the singer, and they put this thing in here. They put Get Out. They made a musical of Get Out on this show, and it's so ridiculous and over the top to to show you that they are woke. And on the show, like I said, she has a cast member. He's a bisexual dude, and um the dude's boyfriend breaks up with him and was like, "Yo, for your body type." This is during that episode of cuffing season. He was like, "Your body type is not right for the winter. I need to find me a bear or whatever they call big, big, big gay dudes, right? Or whatever they call them, bears or whatever for some reason. I don't know. Anyways, like I need a bear or whatever, a big gay dude." And so he breaks up with the dude. So then these two run around trying to find a a a, a dude to cuff with, and in the show, like they see the perfect dude to cuff up with, right? Big dude, size 3XL, he getting whatever. And so they're shooting their both of them are shooting their shot, like, yo, this, that, and the third. And I was like, I already knew what was gonna happen, right? No, I already have a boyfriend. Then his boyfriend comes over, he's another big black dude. I was like, okay. And then I was like, all right, so now they're still running around looking for somebody to cuff up with. And I was like, okay, they're obviously gonna cuff up with each other at some point, right? And then turns out, boom, of course, dude was like, hey, why don't we make the best out of a bad situation? And she's like, "Nah, I'm not getting with nobody that's gay or whatever." He was like, I'm not gay, I'm bisexual. He was like, oh, okay. So then they hook up. I guess they're gonna cuff up for the winter. They show them having, like, this is the crazy stuff. They were on this play. So they get to the set of the play early and get into the bed, and they're like having sex in the bed on the I'm like, on the where on the stage of the play that they are employed to be in. I mean, it's nuts. And of course, she cursing people out, cursing the director out, and some of the people, the other actors and actresses. It's nuts. She's over the top with it, with that whole sassy thing. Um, Camille is trying to get this job, to be a tenured professor. I think she's an associate professor or something. She's trying to be tenured, and this is the head of the department, Whoopi Goldberg. Here's some of the secondary cast. the white woman on the left, she's kind of irrelevant. She was the she had Whoopi Goldberg's position before Whoopi got there, and then of course Matthew, and then this chick in the middle is like a friend of Quinn's mother. Of course, Quinn starts her. She's bi curious or whatever with her. She's like she's a very attracted to her and so forth. So I'm guessing they'll explore that Quinn will be exploring being a lesbian in the next season or whatever. The white woman here is the white woman that tied the lesbian character on the show that she's actually with or was with or whatever. And then this brother over here is a dude that likes Camille, and they kind of get together, and he's everything that she wants, but she can't get over Ian, the dude that she was with prior to him, that she broke up with and left and told off and so forth. All right, let me see here. Let me see, get to the part. So here's Ian, and they're going back and forth. They hadn't, I guess, they didn't get enough closure because she left him at the airport. They were going to go to Paris, and he was going to go over there to study culinary arts. She decided to leave him at the airport, and she still isn't over the dude. So here, here's Ty and the white woman, right? That she was afraid to be seen with. All right, so let's keep going here. Wait a minute. Let me see if that brother's in here. Yeah, I think that's the dude to run the show. I can't think of the dude's name. Yeah, I think this is what I wanted to cover. Yeah, that's it for that. All right, let me see if I can find a picture of. Let me see if I can find a picture of the aunt. She's Ian's aunt, and she's Ian's aunt, and like I said, she takes over the sassy black role thing or whatever when whenever Angie's not on the screen, right? All right, let me see if I can find this woman. And I've seen her before. Yeah, yeah. Okay, and I'm gonna show you something else too here. A second. Yeah, Bevy Smith. That's her name. They- And look, it is not even funny. It is so not funny that it is so not funny that they they even just they play on the name so bad that it's not even funny, right? They call for this show she's called Aunt Tammy, and she's playing the mammy role, right? She has that horrible voice, like her voice is like the worst. Just Chick Bevy Smith. She already has a bad voice, like a really really irritating voice. She's like a really irritating voice, and then it's the sassy thing, and that's the role that she plays on these shows. I would play this and it get me flagged, but anyway. So anyway, last thing, Tracy Oliver is a writer and producer known for Girls Trip, First Wives Club, and Harlem. So this is the creator of the show. right? Created by, right? She wrote on all 10 episodes. So why are most of these shows, especially the last three, and at least four out of the five, I think Girlfriends was created by Kelsey Grammer, I think, and I think he was a big part on that show or whatever. But why are these other shows created, written by, written for black women, yet they keep promoting these same stereotypes and colorism, right? And then black women continue to patronize those shows, um, you know, and then um, you make these shows successful, right? They make these shows ultra successful, right? We seen even in the 2000s when Megan Good was in what's that show? Was that movie? Deliver Us from Eva, right? Eva was the matriarch, but then she also was the sassy black woman. She was nasty, right? And then in that show, because most of them were married, right? You didn't have the Jezebel type of thing, but you had the matriarch, and Gabrielle Union. She embodied pretty much all of that, right? To where she was the dark skinned one, she was the meanest one. She was well, she was the darker skinned one because I think there was another a bit of the darker skinned sister. Essence Atkins, Megan Good, they weren't they weren't like that, and I can't think of the other sister's name that was on that show, but that movie. But no matter how mean and nasty you are, you always find a dude. You wind up with the LL at the end of the day. But why? And these all these people, the black feminists, they love the Bell Hooks and the Patricia Hill Collins, or Patricia Collins Hill, whatever her name is. They love them, but and they black feminists thought these are required reading for them, especially on Twitter. But yet they can't see this show, and here I can look at this. I'm like, what? Dag. As soon as see one episode, I'm like, wow, they fully established tropes and that are still around after 30 years, just more defined and um, even more debauchery, right? Because the shows, I guess, Girlfriends and Living Single, they were on regular TV or whatever. They wasn't on the premium channels or whatever, right? So these shows are on premium channels, so they can, HBO, Stars, and Amazon. So now they can go over the top with everything. They can exaggerate everything. The sexuality is off the charts, or the sex and the debauchery, sex or whatever, is off the charts. The whether it's the the cursing, the drugs, all this stuff is over the top now, right? They can go full blown because they are on these preview channels. And you know, so to me, these things over the past 30 years have um have perpetuated that stereotype, right? They perpetuated the, you know, I'm a bad bitch, I'm a boss chick, you know what I mean? And really, just like I said, educated 304s, they love to tout how many degrees that they have, but then jumping in and out of bed, in and out of bed, in and out of bed with, whoever and whatever at whatever moment. And it is just, that we always talk about the music, the music, the music, but we don't look at the other side of the coin, which is the movies, the shows that perpetuate these same things. And it's the same side. It's the same with men as well. You know, except for men, it's a little bit different. They're not going to show men. They're not going to show four black men with, quote unquote, they are successful, have everything going on, and then doing stuff like this, right? That show will never get produced. But what they will show is the BMFs. They will show um 50 different powers, book, power book 50 or whatever, and they will show how a kid who knew nothing about the dope game can now become the big dope dealer. I mean, it's silly. I mean, I can't even watch that stuff, right? I not only watch this stuff for research purposes to lay out this argument. I watch the shows to lay out this argument. Now, yeah, I watch Living Single because, hey, back then it was good to see black women on TV, right? You were like, okay, man, it was good to see them back on TV, and they weren't prostitutes, they weren't uh maids and mammies, right? That's what we grew up seeing. I'm born in the '70s, so that's what we grew up seeing, right? Black women had to get their start in Hollywood. They had to be some type of prostitute. They played a prostitute first, and some type of maid or mammy or something to that effect. That's what they played first, and then they could branch out to other roles, right? So it was good to see. Okay, boom, we see people that grew up with Kim Fields or whatever, when she was little, all them different shows, and then you see Queen Latifah, that we knew from hip hop, come over and start, and then they're in roles and they are successful and so forth. So it was good to see, right? But we didn't see what was coming. We didn't see the chess move, and the chess move being, no matter what um black women do, or no matter how they act or whatever, they always end up with somebody. They always end up with a man, and it backfired on our community because that's just not real life, right? Especially not today. You know, brothers are not going to put up with someone being a loudmouth and a smart mouth and all that kind of stuff every 5 minutes. Brothers just not going to take that. So, um, you know, we see the result, right? And we see how uh, especially the millennials, they are walking away from marriage. They don't even think it's that important. Do they think it is weird? It's a weird dichotomy that they think, and I have a video I'm working on this, as a matter of fact, that they see the importance of marriage in order to build a strong community, that you need marriages and families, but they see it as old fashioned, outdated, and not necessary for their lives. Right? It's crazy, and the reason for that is obviously the broken marriage system, right? The broken family court system, to where it does not benefit men, and actually it could hurt men in the long run if something happens and women are rewarded for leaving leaving a marriage and so forth, right? They actually benefit. If they get divorced, they can wind up with, you know, alimony or child support or something, and they walked away from the marriage or whatever, and so. But I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole today. But yeah, these tropes are still there. The same ones that um the black feminist thought leaders are talking about, that you have to push back on, but they're not going to talk about these shows. They see one aspect of it, that, oh, it's great, black women are in charge and they're producing shows and they're leading shows and they're the main actresses on shows, and but you don't see the underlying. And I think they see it. I think they just don't care at the end of the day. Black feminists, I don't think they care about black women like they say they do, because they should be the main ones on the front lines protesting these shows, like I said. And look, nobody's going to point it out, but I think Yvette Lee Bowser, I think is she also light skinned as well? You know what I mean? Like, Yvette Lee Bowser, right? Yeah, lighter skinned looking chick, right? Yvette Lee Bowser is a lighter skinned looking chick too, right? I can't believe why somebody would haven't hasn't pointed this out, right? Look at Yvette Lee Bowser here. Yvette Lee, so Yvette Lee Bowser, she can write in two of the shows that she's been on. she could write black women, the darker skinned black women, as being the loud, overly aggressive women, right? And then you have Tracy Oliver, who's a lighter skinned chick too, doing the same thing, right? she, I mean, because you can control who's picked for the roles, I would imagine, right? But no one said anything. But eh, black men are colorists if they like a light skinned woman as opposed to a dark skinned one, they're colorists. But when you have light skinned black women and they write, they give the negative tropes to the dark skinned black women, that's not a problem because it's a show that you like. But anyway, I ain't gonna keep beating the dead horse. The tropes are still there, and it's being pushed by, black women, and that is a problem. Black women need to take back their media, much like what black men are trying to do, in on YouTube. Those are the avenues that we have available, and brothers can get their voices heard. And once we, move from there, had to start producing real additional media to push back, additional shows to push back on, 50 Cent pushing power and all that kinds of stupid crap, BMF. These kids love to see that kind of stuff, you know, drug dealing in the 80s, the crack era, because they didn't live through it, right? So it looks great and it looks fun and it looks mysterious or alluring to them because they didn't live through it. We lived through it and we saw, our friends and so forth getting killed and getting locked up, and we saw how it devastated communities and left, you know, communities devastated, through so much stuff happened. I mean, but anyway, so that's it there. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Get in the comments when this goes up on the channel. Get in the comments. Let me know what you think. If I missed anything, if I missed any of the tropes or the stereotypes, or if you just think I'm wrong on any of the tropes or the stereotypes in these shows, whether you enjoy them or not, that's up to you. That's up to each person. You enjoy what you enjoy, but they are pushing these stereotypes. And there were other shows that I didn't even get to. Tyler Perry have shows that are doing the same thing. Um, that I didn't watch, but just looking at it from the trailer, you can pick up a bit of that stuff, and I'm sure there's going to be more shows. Right, Insecure is going away, so Harlem and uh, Run the World, I think, are vying for that demographic, that niche. And I'm sure there'll be more of these type shows coming, and they're probably only going to get worse. And so black women have to actually push back on this. Brothers, we push back on it as well, but there is very little that we could do if they're going to continue to support it. But the tropes are still there. They have to be challenged. But I'm thinking about doing, actually, I'm not going to be able to watch those shows just looking at the tropes and the stereotypes on the black men side, because we're getting we're getting them pushed to us too. But I think ours is pushed more through music than media, or movies and shows and so forth. But and the biggest one, was the Educated Thug, which was Tupac. But anyway, that's a topic for another live stream. But anyway, those are my final thoughts. Excuse me. Those are my final thoughts. Peace, Rebel family.